Hello, welcome to Toffee TV. It is the match preview. Everton versus Fulham. A Saturday 3 o'clock kickoff. Very rare these days. Fulham, yeah, gotta be a win, hasn't it? After the last, well, this whole international break hasn't been great. So it has to be a win. It feels that way anyway.
It feels that way. It's gotta be, hasn't it? It's not gonna be easy. They've turned into a team we can't beat at home, having always beat them at home.
Yeah.
Every year until COVID arrived. And the first time they beat us, and we haven't beaten them at home since. So it's got to be a win. You know, we finished the last international break with a victory over Palace. And we always knew it was going to be a bit tougher coming into this one with City away and Spurs at home, and Sunderland who were doing well. But you look at the Spurs game, it's still disappointing. We should have got something out of it. We did get something out of Sunderland, but people are disappointed because in the opening half an hour we should have put the game to bed.
Yeah.
So that just means it heaps pressure on the next game, and obviously Fulham at home would be lowest in the table. Represents a good opportunity for 3 points, but it's going to be difficult because we don't score goals.
Do you think it's going to be more difficult because there is a little bit of pressure being heaped on it? Maybe not from outside, but I think from the fan base. I think people are looking at this game as a game where we're at home. It's against a team that are below us. It's a team that, I know we've had our struggles recently, but Fulham were on the back of 4 defeats in a row till they beat Wolves at the weekend. And even that, you know, the Wolves went down to 10 men, didn't they? So they have been struggling a little bit. Got through in the Carabao Cup on penalties as well. For us, I think we look at this, don't we, ahead of what, you know, back end of November, December looks like a tough little run. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are games in there that we can win, but it is a tough little run. I think there's been, you know, fans have put pressure on this game now and almost demand to see Everton win the game, or certainly put in a performance that should win, because I think of late, I think Moyes mentioned it, and I was a bit disappointed actually no one followed up with a question, but he mentioned how we'd played well in parts of the games, and I would like them to have asked, and maybe someone can ask in the press conference ahead of this game, is why does he feel like we don't play well for 70 minutes in a game rather than just spells like we were at Sunderland? I think if we play well for a large amount of the game, then you can put those issues down to strikers not putting the ball in there, because that's something I've seen from Monday with people almost defending the team, going, well, if we had a striker, and I was like, yeah, but we didn't play well for probably
2/3 of the game.
2/3 of the game, and that doesn't always come down to just having a striker who's not putting the ball in the back of the net. That's a whole team thing. So a lot of pressure, I think, on this game now.
Well, there is pressure, but there's got to be pressure, hasn't it? Because if there isn't pressure, then it means the fans aren't asked, and our fans are very asked.
Yeah.
You know, we've won 1 game in 8, and that carries a pressure in itself. Okay, it's not as bad as that run because we won 4 games ago.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel, but it's 1 win in 8 if you're looking at it from that perspective. But it's an opportunity at the weekend to put 4 points between us and Fulham and start trying to get closer to where we want to be playing most of our football this season, will be in the top half of the table. That's what you're looking for. We got ourselves in there, and this run has meant we've started to creep down the table, and we're back in. We're back into must-win territory, really, because I think if we come out of the day without a win, and then you're going into the international break, you know, it's longer than 2 weeks, isn't it, till we play United, 16 days till the next game. It's Man U away at Old Trafford, the ground we don't do very well at. It's putting it bleeding mildly. Then that hypes the pressure on the following week, which is Newcastle at home. You know what I mean? Before then going to, I think it's is it Bournemouth after Newcastle or whatever it is? It's something like that. It's another tough game. You know, and the pressure on each game just builds and builds, and we don't want to get into that. You know, we win on Saturday, it sort of clears the decks for those couple of weeks. People start saying, look where we are, we're actually only a few points off a European place, whatever, and that's the right way to look at it. And also you're putting distance between Fulham, like I said, and, you know, Wolves and your Burnley, Leeds, West Ham, Forest who were all below us. You keep that little bit of distance, and that's what you've got to do. And the pressure is coming from within, and you're absolutely right. But the fans are frustrated because, and this isn't maybe because we started all right and we were quite high in the table. Maybe people just thought, well, we can grind results out. We can be right in the race for Europe right from the off. But football seasons don't play out like that. Last season, when Moyes came in, you know, we played Villa on whatever it was, the 17th of Jan or whatever, when he took over. We then turned in excellent form for the second half of the season. So much so that we were only something, probably like 8 points or something off Europe in the end. And yet we'd only played for half a season. So you can't always plot the path to that. But what it does is, the longer you go without winning, it just piles the pressure onto the next game, onto the next game, and onto the next game. And we can't really, we don't want to get into that situation because A, we're not scoring enough goals, and B, December's coming up when we know that Njai and Garner are going to be going midway through it. So it's a big game.
I think there's pressure as well because the substitute situation and the players we're using, and people are seeing a team that doesn't look balanced and yet plays every single week, bar maybe the striker being swapped in and out, or, you know, what we've had to make changes because of suspension or Jack Grealish going off the side. But no real, like, we haven't had too many yet where it's like, you're not playing well, mate, you'll come off the team. That hasn't happened. It's been, apart from the centre forwards, it's solely been you're in because of suspension or you're in because of an agreement or an injury. There's been no one so far who's been pulled out the team other than the centre forwards for not playing well. And I think with the bench and the youthfulness of the bench as well, certainly in my opinion, that does ask questions of, when are you going to start using some of these players? When are you going to do something a little bit different? Why aren't young players? It leads to questions. You know, is it David Moyes going back to what people perceive David Moyes to be, like someone who played? I mean, we're playing with the oldest team in the Premier League and the least amount of subs. Those two things, you put those together, that's not a coincidence. No. That's not a coincidence. And people are going to start asking those questions, saying, you know, why are the players that we spent money on sitting on the bench? Why isn't it started to be turned around yet? You know, it'll be very interesting on Saturday to see where the Barry starts. I think that will be such a big thing for a lot of people, because lots of people don't believe he should have been taken off, us included, I think, on Monday night, so as early as it was. You know, when are you going to, you know, you give Beto a really good go in the games. You know, Beto started most of the games.
Barry's only started 3 games.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you give Beto a fair crack of it. Why is he prepared to give Barry? And these question marks will start being asked of David Moyes. I know it's only 10 games in or so, but soon, before we know it, we'll be a third into the season, and then before we know it, we'll be halfway through the season because of how fast December goes. And these questions are going to be asked, and, you know, if we're asking them, then who else is asking those questions? And, you know, no one's pressing the panic button, by the way, but you have to have these conversations about especially about, like, anyone who's going to replace Njai and Garner, because that is a real thing that's going to happen. They are going to leave the football club for probably 6-7 games. That's really going to happen. So,
no, it is important. I think the point of players have only been replaced by injury or suspension, and obviously the Grealish thing with City. That's telling when you're not winning. I think you winning, people don't question him. Why would you? If the team's in a good rhythm, winning games, you just got to be careful how you're using it. But right now, I want to see the manager. You know, when I'm a big fan of David Moyes, everyone knows. I want to see him using all of his managerial experience here and mixing things up and going, this isn't good enough, lad. You've got to set a message. And that message has got to be, I'm going to keep tinkering until I find the formula that wins us games. And if you're on the wrong side of me tinkering, that's on you, not on me. Barry's got to start at the weekend. It might be time to switch up Jake O'Brien, the right-back situation. It might be time to start Merlin Roll or Carlos Alcaraz in midfield and really freshen the whole thing up for everyone who's going, because Everton need to win the game. He knows that better than anyone. He's not stupid, David Moyes. But people will ask questions if it continues to be the same team virtually and limited subs, people will start going, why did we spend so much money then on players who don't get in, when you may as well have just spent that money on players who were guaranteed to start. You know, the two older players who we brought in, if you like, play every game. So we may as well have just done that. So, and that's not, I don't think, what Evertonians want. Evertonians want to see a young, vibrant, exciting team, and some of the players we've bought might fall into that, will grow into that, I believe. But right now they're not getting used, and they do need to be used.
Yeah, no, I think it's a stick to beat the manager with, and
do everything. Try everything.
Yeah, the less of them you have, the better. You know, it's if we were to win on Saturday, 50. You know, I think 15 points isn't a terrible haul from the season so far. You know, you're edging towards where you want to be. And also, like David Moyes and notorious at Everton in his first spell of having slow starts, and then it really ramping up the second half of the season and going unbeaten for long stretches. And so I can understand that, finding what the balance of the team. But you find the balance team, like you just said, by making those changes, by looking at different things. You know, Carlos Alcaraz, could he play as a number 10? Can Dibblin play and make, you know, do something on the wing? The right back situation, of course, we start to see tinkering with the right back in game. Well, why doesn't he try that before the game? You know, why doesn't he start a game with James Garner and someone else in midfield? I think these are the questions fans are starting to ask, because again, I think it's very much like the motto of this channel is, fans aren't stupid. Fans are intelligent. You know, we all understand football. We all know who our good players are and who our bad players are, or who's not, you know,
not as strong,
or who's not as strong. It's and it frustrates people. It's very much like the other night, you know, when McNeil's coming on. Yes, the manager can say he's trained really well, but there's also no sort of, that's not being highlighted, that's not being brought to the front. So when it happens and you're playing so poorly, fans are going to be shocked by that. They're going to ask questions of, well, they've been training so well, but why didn't he come off the bench the week before?
Well, I wouldn't have even minded that sub as much the other night if he'd have then put sort of Jack Grealish on the right and put McNeil on the left. Give the lad a chance. If you want to put him on, at least put him on where he's more comfortable. He's not comfortable on the right. Dyche tried it didn't work. Moyes tried it the odd time, it didn't work really. He's regardless of what anyone says, his best position for Everton has been off the striker in that little pocket, because he's got a good left foot on him and he can drive one in. Sticking him on the right just hung him out to dry, and he couldn't get into the game, and so therefore people are going, all right, well, McNeil's there and he's done it, but we paid and chased a young winger for weeks in the summer, and we got him and he's not getting on the pitch, and I think that's why it just puzzled a lot of people. But Saturday's a big game, and hopefully we can come out on top.
Well, as we said, Fulham, obviously they won last weekend. They beat Wolves off the back of losing 4 Premier League games. I mean, what have you made of them this season? Because obviously didn't really buy anyone in the summer, and it's just been more of a continuity thing, really, hasn't it, with them? And maybe I don't think they've had a start that they would have, you know. I'm sure people within Fulham might have predicted this start, but we've seen maybe in the last couple of seasons they've had much better starts, and that's been the thing that's kept them around mid-table or upper mid-table for most of the season.
There's a bit of uncertainty at Fulham, isn't there? Marco Silva, in his last season under contract, wasn't happy in the summer with the transfer business, thought he was too slow in the market. They did bring in Kevin from Shakhtar Donetsk, Big Kev, who's nice and lively, but he's only started one of the 7 games he could have been involved in, but I do like the look of him. He's quite bright, you know, takes people on, good with the ball. But I think the uncertainty around it has meant that start has been quite flat for them. He had an injury to Rodrigo Muniz, albeit he's coming back now. And so, losing the 4 games on the run, he's varying degrees of success. I watched them against Arsenal the other weekend, and they were okay in patches. They got beat 1-0 off a set piece, but they were okay in patches. But you know, and I know they lost late on at Newcastle, didn't they? So maybe they're a little bit lower than maybe where they would have been, but it hasn't gone as smoothly for them as maybe many probably would have thought. But they're a team who will be, you know, between 11th and 14th come the end of the season.
Really, I don't know, they don't really have that X factor kind of player, do they? They just have a lot of, they have talented, hard-working players.
Well, Smith Rowe's like, you've always looking, he's a good footballer, but he flatters to deceive sometimes. They've got, obviously, you know, about Alex Iwobi. Kevin's coming, he's not in all the time. In fact, Ryan Session's been good for them at left back, and he was always good. He was good before he left Fulham, and obviously suffered terribly with injuries. And he was someone who I actually thought Everton could have gone and got when he was on a free the year before, but Fulham took the gamble on him. He hadn't been fit. Spurs released him from his contract, and Fulham snapped him up. And once he got fit, he's good turn of pace. Scored a couple of goals as well this season. And that's really where their strengths are when they've played the attack mainly down that left-hand side with Session. They've had Alex Iwobi out there, they've had Kevin out there as well. So that is, you know, there's a real threat down that side. And then on the right-hand side, there's Harry Wilson, who loves to cut in and have a go with his left foot. You know, in fact, every goal he seems to score, Wilson is him cutting in and bending it in. And a player who Everton were actually linked with last summer as well. Few clubs looked like they might get him, but he stayed and he's done okay for
we played them like this time last year, didn't he? Just a little bit later on, obviously last minute equaliser or 94th minute equaliser from Beto after Iwobi had scored. So it hasn't been great for the last few years. But let's just have a look at the team that beat Wolves last week.
Yeah, you know, the normal Marco 4-2-3-1, which we saw every year for Everton. Kevin, like I said, coming on the left last week, they had Alex Iwobi moved from the left wing back into the centre of the park. And they comfortably beat Wolves, albeit Wolves did go down to 10 men. You know, Wolves have got their own problems, so it was probably a good game for Fulham, and once they got the first goal, that sort of set them on the way. You know, and then the obviously off the bench, Tom Kearney, Smith Rowe, Muniz, Chukwueze, Traore, real pace off the bench to stretch teams. One thing Everton don't have.
Yeah. And in Jimenez, they've got like a proper centre forward who's always done consistently well against us as well. And
done all right, yeah.
You know, Josh King behind him was having, obviously, think back to the Chelsea game when he was robbed of getting a goal, and as you mentioned, Wilson on one side and Kevin on the other side, who started last week for them. So and Iwobi played last week in centre midfield, didn't he? Let's have a little look at his numbers so far.
He's the danger man, and we've got him there. We played 10 games so far this season, 1 goal and 2 assists. He's their chief creator. Created 18 chances, by far Fulham's most creative player, and his passing accuracy at 82%. You can see his heat map there because he has mainly played down that left-hand side. That's his season heat map. But last week, you're absolutely right. He got put back in to the middle of the park where he's played for Everton a few times. And, you know, he's got a good engine in there. Footballer. Not great in terms of like winning tackles and stuff, but got a good engine, can see a pass, carries the ball really well. So, he's doing quite well for Fulham.
Yeah, suits him, doesn't it?
That's a good, perfect club for him. He's a nice footballer playing for a nice football club with a nice manager.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Zero pressure. Let's have a look at the Everton team that faced Sunderland on Monday night. I mean, listen, I could make changes easily in that team. Do you think there'll be many changes in that team?
I want to say because I want to believe the manager will be looking and trying to use everything at his disposal to come up with the formula. I think it's a home game in terms of we've got to go out and attack. I think if we go out and sit back a little bit, don't let these settle.
No, they're a footballing team.
They're a team below us who are open and like to play nice football. Get at them, swarm all over them. And to do that, we've got to be more attacking. And I think if he lines up with what he started at Sunderland the other night, what message is that? Just the same again. I want Barry to start. Barry's got to play for me. He's got to play the next 3 or 4 easily. He's got to be in every game. Let him see if he can get used to it and get himself off the mark. I would make the decision on Jake O'Brien for this one, even if it's just simply for this game, because it's a home game. And you'd either sit him next to you on the bench or you replace one of the centre-backs. But I don't think he's going to do two things with that, so I'd put Garner at right back, leave Barry where he is. I think Njai's going to be all right. Everton have put images of him out. I think he's going to be okay. So the centre of the park is just a case of who replaces James Garner. Do you go for Merlin Roll, or do you put Alcaraz in there and ask Dewsbury Hall to sit back with Adrissa? Do we really need the way Fulham play? Do we definitely need a defensive holding midfield play? We need someone to make sure there's not a big hole in that. So someone's got to, make sure the covering and stuff. But I'd be tempted to probably go with Alcaraz.
Yeah.
And see if we can get up alongside Barry and give him some support. And then obviously you're still leaving yourself with Merlin Roll off the bench. Tyler Dibling, maybe Tyler Dibling off the bench. A Beto. And if you feel like you 2-0 up after 75 minutes and you feel like you just want to keep what you've got, you can bring Jake O'Brien on at right back and just close it down that way.
Yeah.
So maybe something like that. But I do think he needs to make a couple of changes, and we've got to get on the front foot, and Barry has to start for me.
Yeah. No, I agree. I won't give my starting 11 away because that's another show. No, I think there has to be changes. I just think what are you rewarding? You're rewarding games that have just passed you by. Don't get me wrong, right? If we drew 1-1 last week and we played like that for 17 minutes, I'd be like, yeah, done our job. You're Sunderland with the home team. Well, even if it was, but just the way we played second half, I just thought it was.
Well, we only had one shot in the second half, and that was Michaelenko after 86 minutes.
Yeah. After we'd brought on players, after we'd made those changes. So, no, I think we need to be physical on Saturday. We need to be strong, and we need to press much better and win the ball off them higher up the pitch. Because we're just too slow. We're too slow. I'm hoping at some point one of those chances which drops to a Barry or a Beto or whoever is going to drop and is going to go in, and that's going to be the start of something, and maybe David Moyes can point to that and go, that's what I've been waiting for. The strikers have got to take advantage. They've got to take advantage. Hopefully it'll be Barry, and if it is Barry, it needs to be a player showing a bit of aggression and a bit of what we saw the other night, rather than the Barry we saw first half against Palace, which was just a wasted opportunity. Yeah, it was really below par that day. Yeah,
but I thought he was decent the other night. So let's see. Give him a bit of confidence, start him again and go, at the moment you've got the shirt, go and keep it. Get yourself out there, get yourself amongst it, get a goal. Lead the line, press. Nothing silly, no silly fouls, press from the front, and then it's up to, if it's Alcaraz in there, get up alongside them. If it's Grealish, get up, Dewsbury, get up and support, and Jai get in round the back. Make sure that we done it, because we proved for half an hour the other night we could do it, and then like you said, we just stopped, and you've got to be able to pick it back up.
Hopefully, there you go. I hope, one thing I do hope to the game on Saturday is the fans. Let's get up for it as well. Let's get behind them. It's been good in patches at Hill Dickinson, and especially when we've been, when people say, "Oh, what a noise!" Yeah, because we just scored, mate. That's why it's a brilliant noise. We need that kind of noise. Someone in the ground, one part of the ground has got to take responsibility, haven't they? Whether it's the lower, it's got to be the south or the lower north, whatever it is, someone's got to take responsibility, and we've got to start getting this atmosphere going. Because in my eyes, it's been dreadful. That's my opinion. It's been dreadful. I think most people will back me up on that. It's been, when you score, it's great because you scored, haven't you? It's a last minute winner. Of course, you're going to blow the roof off the place. This place is capable. The noise can be, but we've got to make it that way on Saturday. So we've got to start making it a place where people find it very difficult to come. Everyone's coming to our ground. These will all bring their packed lunches from M&S, probably Waitrose. So we've got to make sure we're on. Well, it will be. I mean, it will be Waitrose. You've seen them on the train with their packed lunches.
Fulham Palace Road.
Exactly. Yeah.
Off they go.
So let's make sure that we make it noisy, and we don't make it too easy for them, because they're coming to our ground, they're all looking around going, what do you reckon, Jeeves? And he's like, it's Sam, what's that in it? You know what I mean? We've got to make this a game where they feel intimidated. You know, the likes of your Gareths and your Tobies of the world, they need to know that what Everton are all about. There you go. I've said it. I apologise to any Tobies or Gareths or Jeeves and Worcesters that are Evertonians.
Worcester.
No, the Worcesters.
The Worcesters, are they?
Yeah.
Sauce,
no,
okay.
no, they don't
Fair
have.
play.
Worcesters are their staff.
Oh, okay.
The Worcesters are very much the people who live in those houses.
Okay.
There you go. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already. More great videos. Join us over on Toffee TV Premier. The link is in the description. QR code's coming on screen now. See you later. Bye.